Well, hello everyone. Good evening. I hope I'm properly audible. So, myself Kshitij, I'm the web admin of Kaziranga, and I welcome you to this revision session for this course of Modern Application Development 1. And to continue with this course, and your instructor for this session would be Himanshu Rastogi, your teaching assistant for this specific course. Himanshu, I hope I'm audible to you.
Yes, Kshitij, you are audible.
Okay,
Hello
thank you.
everyone, I am Himanshu and today we will do this revision session.
Okay, Himanshu. So I pass it over to you. You can start.
So everyone, how your preparation is going? Anyone would like to just answer this? Bad. Okay. So in MAD-1, you will have a few theory questions, 3 to 4, 2 marks question, and if we take very broad estimate, then it will be about 10 marks. And out of 50 marks, if we remove this 10 marks, then 40 marks will be for programming questions. And for programming, we have few topics, that is class, SQL alchemy, RESTful, and logging. And yeah, one question from JavaScript also. So I will cover these programming concepts first, and if there is time after that, then I will come to theory also. But there is not much thing in theory. So, okay, let's start with the programming concepts. So, I'll share my screen. My screen visible.
Yes, it's visible.
So, I will start. Okay, first tell me, you people know about Flask or not? So, you prepared for quiz one, or that was also bad? Yes. Okay. So, should I start with SQL Alchemy? Quiz one was okay. Quiz one was okay. In that case, I can start with SQL Alchemy concepts, right?
Sir, if you
Hmm.
can start from class, then also be good
Okay,
for.
I'll give a little introduction to class. So, class basics. I can use this one. So, well, what is Flask? Flask is your web framework, Python framework for web applications. Okay. Now, how to use it? That is more important. So, for that, you use this class that you have to import, and you create an instance of this class using this special variable underscore underscore name underscore underscore, and then this can be used as a variable, and with this variable you mark these routes, and I mean map these routes to function which return a object like a string or a dictionary or a list that it can return. So this creates a route, and let me demonstrate it. So if I have a basic application here, let's say this is run here, and just ignore the remaining part. And if I say just at app dot route, and I, let's say here I call it forward slash home, then I can define a function. So f1, and I can return something here. So let's say hello from class. So if I run this code, to run it properly, I'm running this file, and what happened? Just a second. Hmm. Oops, I forgot one thing. I need to say app.run to run this thing. Okay, and here I can define this. Now, when I have this structure, this server will start at a port which is currently 5000 and this address is localhost. Now, if I visit this on a browser, you will see the result which I returned. So localhost 5000 forward slash and forward slash home. Yeah, hello from class. That was the thing I returned. Okay. So this is how class routing works. Basically, you define a route, map a function to it with this decorator app.route, and whatever you return will be returned at this route. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Hmm. So this was very basic of class. Now, uh, if you want to know more about class, we can discuss at the end. Okay.
Yes, yes.
So you have something called URL parameter, the query parameter, all those things are there, and I will discuss it in the RESTful when I will discuss RESTful here. Then I will discuss these things also. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So I'll
So we
just
start
close this
from
filter
SQL.
and I'll start from SQL Alchemy.
Okay.
Okay. Erase this part for now. Hmm. Now, for SQL Alchemy, you need to import SQL Alchemy class from class SQL Alchemy library. This class. And you will define SQL Alchemy as bb is equal to, this is just a variable that I'm using here. Bb is equal to SQL Alchemy. You called the class, created an instance of this class. After that, you will connect this db dot init app, and here you can pass your application object. Now, before doing this, you need these two configurations. Not the second one. Sorry. The first one. This first configuration defines the address where you will store your database files. Okay. So what this is SQL Alchemy database URI. And whatever I define here will be used to create database file. And like here, you see this instance have this example.db. How this is created? Because I have defined it here that whatever database you will create, whatever tables you have to store in the example.db. So how to define this configuration? app.config SQL Alchemy database URI and SQLite, this is dialect and the address example DB. Okay. When you define this, then you can connect this app, and there is another way of connecting it. DB is equal to SQL Alchemy and directly you can pass the application. So this is two-step process. This is one-step process. You can opt any one of these. Okay. Now, is this configuration part clear? Hmm?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Also, I will not keep checking back to this
Ha ha.
only. So just like you can speak up. Okay.
Okay,
When
okay.
you do this configuration, after that you can define your classes. So these model classes, how to define them? You have to say class, your class name, and you will inherit from db.model class. So db is this object. It have a model class as its attribute. You need to use this to inherit this class. And when you inherit this, it becomes a SQL Alchemy database class. Okay, a model class. Okay. Now, in this class, you can define attributes or the field of the database in the following manner. You will say the attribute name equal db.column, and then as the first argument you can pass db.integer, string, boolean, and text. So these are the possible values that you can provide as the first argument, which defines the type of the column, type of the field that you will use in the database, okay, in the table. And after that, here are some constraints that you can use. It can be foreign key, primary key, nullable equals to false. So let me show you what are these. So primary key is there. There is something auto increment equals true. So it will auto increment. Well, primary key auto increment is implicit. Like when you do primary key auto increment is implicit. So this is meaningless here. But if I do it, it is meaningless here as well. Okay, and there are more of these. So there is nullable. Okay, tell me what this nullable do. If I say nullable equals to, okay, not true. If I, let's say, if I set it to false, what it will do?
Null values should not exist.
Yeah, you have to pass a value where, like, whenever you create an instance of this enrollment, okay, which will be a row in your database. Hmm. Now there is something called unique equals to true. If I set, what it will do?
Only unique value will be allowed.
Yeah, every row will have unique value for this field. Okay. Now there is okay. This is okay. Now this is how you define your tables. Okay, this enrollment one is special in some sense. I will not disturb it because there's something related to it. Okay, I'll come back to that later. But okay, let's see this student and courses. So this student, we have ID, and then this courses is db.relationship enrollment back populates students. So any one of you would like to tell me what this db.relationship is and what this structure is showing? Anyone? No?
In enrollment,
It is,
for a student.
Hmm.
It
Okay.
is to define relationship between student and enrollment.
Yeah. So what this is doing, this is defining a relationship from this student table to this enrollment table, and this attribute will be assigned to this student. Uh, what student row will have this attribute courses. Now, when you call this courses, so student, let's say there is a student S1. So there is a student S1. S1 is a student. I'll not pass anything. You have to do something here. But when you have this, then you can call S1 dot courses, and this courses will be like a query object to enrollment table. Okay, so this is the link between student and enrollment table. Now this is a somewhat direct relation, but you can have something not so direct where you define, like, let's say I say there is a relation between student and courses. So student and course table, and I am using enrollment table as a secondary is equal to enrollment. Now, what this is doing right now, and instead of back populates, let me make it backref. Backref is equal to student.
sir, what is the difference between backref and back populates?
Backref and back populate. Okay. So when you define back populate, you define a one-way relationship. Okay. So like from student, you will have this courses, this enrollments you have. No, no, sorry. Let me just correct that. So this in this courses table, you have this student attribute. Now what you can do if you have a C1 course, you can say C1 dot student, and then that will be refer to this enrollment, and whatever student you have there, it will be fetched. Now this what this back populate is doing. So whatever changes you making here will be reflected into the courses, and you can refer that course by back populate. Okay, I'm messing up in my words. Just a second, let me write it. So when you have C1 and you have course here, you define it. Now C1 dot student. students will give you list of students here. Okay, because it's defined in many to many relationship. And what this back populate is doing here inside this enrollments, you will have this. If I remove this, then you have this courses attribute created in the enrollments, and you can use that to refer back to the course. Okay, are you getting it? So there is E1, and you can say E1 dot course. See, I haven't defined it, but this back populates created. Okay, so this back populate and back ref are used to create dynamically create some attributes that are used to access back this table. So you define the direct relationship from courses to enrollments, but these back populate and back ref will define a relationship back from that target table to this current table. Hmm, who asked that?
Yes, understood. Sir, but one more question: like, how did we know this is one-to-many relationship?
How do you know this is one to many relationship? Okay, so this is not actually one to many relationship, it is many to many relationship. Why? Because here you have this enrollment table in between. Okay, so in this enrollment table you are getting student ID and course ID as foreign keys. So you will store student ID, course ID as a pair, and you can put a unique constraint on it as a pair, but still it will be a many to many relationship. How it will be? Let's say there is a student S1 and that is taking course C1. Now that student S1 can take course C2 also, and for that course C1 there is a student S2 also. In this table these entries are present, and they can be. What this foreign key means? What is foreign key constraint implies?
Means the table means the attribute that we refers to is present in the other table.
The value you are referring should be present in the other table. Okay, and not the other table, but the specific field that you are referring from the other table. Okay, so if I am saying student.id, which means that particular id should be present in student ids. Okay, so here only foreign keys are present. That's why this relationship is many to many. Okay, can we make it one to one or one to many? Yes, you can, but in that case, you don't need this secondary table here, this association table that I have. Enrollments, you don't need that. Association tables are used to create many to many relationships. Can we make it one to one from this association? Like I have this association table, still I can have it as one to one. How I can do that? If I say unique equals to true in the student ID, now what will happen?
It can't take the repeated value that already present in other table.
Hmm. Which means I can have only one entry for one student, and one entry for one student will correspond for one course ID, but multiple course ID can be present for multiple, like the same course ID can be present for many students. So it became one to many if I consider student two courses. Okay. Currently, what it is one to many for student two course. Okay, because same student. Oh, sorry, many to one, many to one. Now, many to one, student to course, because I cannot have repeated student, but I can have repeated course here. Okay, are you getting it?
Sir, is this because we use the unique constant there?
Yes, because
Okay.
of the use, like, yes, because I use unique, so you cannot repeat the student. Same student cannot be repeated. So you and let's say me both have same course ID. Both are corresponding to same course ID. So it is many to one for student to course and one to many for course to student. So which way you are referring it will make it many to one or one to many. Okay.
Yes, sir. Got
Now
it.
how I can make it one to one? Define unique here also. Now it's one to one. Okay. Without this enrollment table, you can also define these things. So let's say this enrollment table was not present. Okay, if I remove this, and I comment this out. If I comment this table, and now I don't use this secondary, I can directly refer to student or courses and define. So from student, I am referring to course, and from course, I refer to student. And remember, you have to mention the table name here, okay, in the relationship. Now, this course and student, currently what kind of relationship is there? And I don't need back populate on this side. Back ref and one side is enough. Okay. Now, what kind of relationship is this? Well, if I, hmm, and here, okay, now it's done. So now it is course to student one to many, because for one course I can have many students, but each student will have only one course ID. So this is how we define one to many without this intermediate tables. Okay, what I did, db.foreign key course.course ID, and I define a relationship with this student should be course here. Is it fine? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hmm? What?
No, sir.
So tell
Yes.
about first. Okay. I think these comments are okay.
Previous,
Great.
past.
So this was about relationship and defining tables. So I also discussed the constraints related to tables and to whatever changes I have done. Now, that's it. I want to discuss something else regarding this table itself. I guess Okay, I was here initializing this. Okay. Now, this currently this is many to many relationship were defined. Now, what else we have in this SQL alchemy is creating data, reading data, like all the CRUD operations that you can do, and mostly question will come on that. So, how to do that? Now, you have these tables. First, these tables are present as a model here. Now, how to create these tables in the database? So, let's say I delete this instance folder for now. Then how will you create this database? Like how will you create these tables in database? What is the function for that? What, anyone knows? No one? Okay. So for this, you need to say with app context, and with this context you can say db dot create all. So whatever tables that you have defined till this point using db dot model will be created. Now, if we run this application right now, so it will create these tables. So see, there is no instance folder currently, and this will, and see this instance folder is created, and example.db is created where I have these three tables. These three simple tables I have. Okay. Now, let me close this and let me open the SQL Alchemy Markdown. SQL Alchemy. Where is it? Did I deleted? Just a second. Yeah, this open to here. Hmm. So we discuss setting, like the setup we discussed, and basic table definition, creating various kind of relationship. For one-to-one, we can use, yeah, there is one more constraint, that is ORM level restriction. If we use this use list equals to false, this means that whatever result we are getting cannot have multiple entries. It should be single entry only. So this also enforce unique like one-to-one relationships. Okay. And there is many to many which uses this intermediate tables and table. Yeah, there is one more way of defining table which is using db dot table. But in this style of table definition, you cannot have other data inside the association table. Okay. So here I can only use the entries from both the tables as foreign keys. So here user ID and role ID I can only use. But if I want something else of this table, like this table have its own fields, then I need a association, explicit association object that we did in this enrollment model. Okay. So if you see, enrollment have its own attribute, grade, which is not coming from either course or student. Okay. Mm, I'm pausing it for a minute. Just read it and tell me if you understand it or not.
So,
Hmm.
what is this association table?
This association table, this is similar what we created for enrollment, but here this table does not own its own attribute. It can only have foreign keys. Well, this is you can say for efficiency. These objects are heavy on memory. whereas this table is lighter. So if you have something as just association table, it doesn't have its own attributes, then you can use this thing. Okay. Well, I guess they only use this one. This one, why I wrote, I guess I was doing my project that time. I write this. Okay. Okay then. Is it clear what this association table is?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, query objects. Okay. So, what you can do when you have these tables, you can create a query object. So let's say there is a query object Q1 and two ways of creating a query object. Either you can use the table name. So let's say there is this student table, student and dot query. So this will create a query object, and this query object can be used to do various operations. There is another way of creating a query object. db dot session dot query, and here you have to pass the class name where you want to query, and this also creates the query object. Okay, now this query object can be used to do various kind of operation. What kind of operation I'm talking about, and I'll use the first one because they also use the first one majorly. So I can say q1 dot and order by. So order by is used to sort things. So here you can write a field name of this. So let's say there is only a student ID in the student. So I can order by student ID and it will give me the result in ordered by student ID. Well, instead of demonstrating these things, let me write this field, this operations and what they do. Order by, sorting on a particular field, then there is, this one is important, filter. Okay, filter the query result. Filter by, again filter the query result. No, so anyone knows what is the difference between filter and filter by? Anyone knows this? Filter and filter by difference? I guess no one. Okay. So when you write filter, let me show you example. So when you write filter by, you use only keyword argument. And what are those keyword arguments? The fields which are present in your table. You can use those field name as keyword argument. So let's say there is, for this student, there is ID. So I can say ID equals this, or I can say, let's say there is a user. For in that user table, there is a name or username. So I can say username equal, and I have to mention the value for which I am filtering. So whenever this value matches, that row will be selected and other rows will be rejected where it doesn't match. Am I making any sense? Hello? Are you able to understand what I'm saying?
Yes, yes.
Yes. So where this value matches, username equals John and email. Okay, there is comma by default, like implicitly it will be treated as and. So username is John and email equal to this a@b.com. Wherever this data matches, all those rows will be selected in this query object. And to fetch those rows, you can use dot all. Okay. Now, what is filter? Filter is more general, more generic type of filtering which uses SQL expressions. Now, how you define it? You have to mention the table name dot attribute name equals value, and yeah, see this. This is a keyword argument, which means I am assigning this variable. Here I am comparing the variables. Okay, user dot username equals this value. Okay, so this will filter that, and you can use here dot all dot first or 404. So like fetching methods you can use. And yeah, this filter support SQL alchemy operators. Filter by doesn't support, only filter supports. So remember this, that filter supports SQL alchemy operator, and it's a generic thing. This one is more specific to the table, and like it will use the attribute name to compare the values. Okay, so what operators are there? So first, comparison operators: equal, not equals, greater than, equal, less than, equal to. So those operators are there. Then text operator are there, like like and I like, which is not equal, like not like. And then you can import these logical operators and underscore and or underscore to define and or. Okay, so here in the filter by you can directly use comma, but in the filter you have to use this and operator, this one and underscore operator, you have to call it. Okay, in and not in operators are also okay. Is filter by a little bit clear? Filter and filter by. See, the questions are there on these operators. That's why I'm telling this. Like, I'm not bloating this session, but this content was
Uh,
asked in the
we can
previous.
say that filter by is analogous to where clause in SQL.
Yeah, it is. Filter is actually the where clause in SQL. Hmm. And it uses various kind of. It can have a various kind of operators, and it takes like a generic SQL alchemy expression. It written SQL expression. It should be SQL alchemy expression. Okay. Whereas filter by is just taking keyword argument. What are those keyword arguments? The name of the fields which are defined for a particular class which you are using here. So whatever fields are defined for a user class, you can use those things here. Okay, is it clear? I hope it is. If not, then ask me. Yeah, I will share these files. Hmm. Now, you have various access methods also. Let me just show that. So you have something called dot all. Now what does dot all do? It will give you list of objects that are fetched from query. So query q1 dot all, then it will give you a list of objects that you fetched. Okay, and a filter will result into query object again. So you filtered something, and after that what you get as a result, you can fetch it from like dot all, and it's the method you need to follow. Okay, it will give you a list of objects that you have fetched from the query. Okay, there is dot fetch, sorry, dot first, and this will give you the first object that matches the criteria. Okay, first object matching the given condition. And there is first or 404, first or 404. Now what this will do, if you find something, okay, here if you find something, then okay, otherwise it will give you empty list. If you find here something, then it will give you that object, otherwise it will give you none. Okay, but now this one is something special. If you find something, it will give you that specific object, first object, otherwise it will raise a like abort with 404. So what this abort is, this is a flask, or I should say HTTP exception from one received, and this stops your server. No, sorry, it stops that request and raise a 404 not found error. Okay. So let's say I want to search for a student named Raj, and there isn't any student named Raj. If I have used this method, first or 404, for that particular student, I will get a 404 error. Okay? You people know what is a 404 error, right? Not found error. Yes? No? Okay. Am I going too fast?
So yes, sir, we know.
You know? Okay. So these three are basic methods that you can use to fetch the object from the query object. Okay. Now,
Sir, I'm not able to see your screen.
not able to see my screen for all.
Your screen is not
Yes.
moving.
Oh, okay, okay. It is frozen at first. I got it. Let me share again. Yeah. So this was the thing I was discussing. That this first or 404 will give you the first object. Otherwise, it will, if it doesn't found, then it will raise a 404 error. So you people know what this abort do? Abort from class?
No, sir.
No? Okay. So this is a function present in class, and what it does, if you raise, if you say abort in a active request, in a request, if you say abort and with a defined status code, let's say 404, so this will stop that request and raise a not found error. So you people know not found error? Yes? No?
Yes, sir.
Yes? Okay. So it will raise that error. Hmm. We will discuss about more in the this SQL sorry RESTful. Okay, so this is accessing methods, and apart from this, what's left? What's left is session versus database query. Okay, so this is one more important thing. Now, when you me add a few objects and what kind of thing. So how do I add these objects? I have to first create, let's say S1 is equal to, okay, S1 is equal to, and student, what this student needs? This student needs ID, that is primary key, so it will be automatically created, and this is a course, uh, nothing that I need to pass it. But let's say this student have a name also. So name is equal to db.column, and here I should say db.string. You can pass the length also. So I'm not passing here db.string, and here you can then nullable or anything. Yeah, nullable equals to false. Hmm. If I define this and I recreate this, create this table of mistakes, delete that. Now I have to pass the name. So I have to say name equal, and let's say I pass my name. And I say S2 equals student and name equal, let's say, um, so now how to, so I created these two students, but these two students are currently in DB session. To add them into database, what I have to do is db dot session dot add, and I have to say s1 db dot session dot add s2, and finally I need to save these changes, so I have to say db dot session dot commit. Okay, so in line number 46 and 47, I have these objects in Python memory. Well, after that, in line number 49 and 50, I stored these objects in something called a DB session. And from that session, I saved these into the database at line number 52. Session.commit saves all the changes that happen in the session to the database. Okay, so here it is in Python memory. Then session, I have stored these, and after that, finally, I save this into the database with commit command. So all the changes are saved with commit command. Session.commit. Is it fine? This is how we add students or add objects to the database. Now, how to remove them or how to change them. So let's say I query. Let me show you querying also. So if I say student or yeah, student is equal to, and student dot query dot filter by, and here I say name equal Rajesh. So, and I get the first object related to that. So here, this student, what this student will have currently. Let's say this code is run, and after that, what this line number 54 will do. Anyone? Okay. If you're not understanding, then you can speak up. Hmm.
No, sir. We get
What?
like
Hmm. What this line number 54 will get? What this student variable is getting?
a row of Rajesh.
Row of Rajesh. Okay. Now, if I want to make some changes into that, so I can say student and student dot attribute name, whatever attribute it have, so it have a name, and then I can set a new value to it. So from Rajesh, let's make it Rajeshwari. And when I do that, I can commit these changes directly. Okay, name dot session dot add, and I will add this student. No, actually, it's not. Sorry. db.session.commit. So this student is already present. I just need to commit the changes. So this is how we modify a student. And if I want to delete it right now, so what I can do? So this student is already there. I just need to say db.session.delete, and I pass the object to student, and then I commit db.session.commit. So this is the basic CRUD operation. So this is how you add from line number 46 to 52. This is how we add a student or course like objects to the database. After this is how we modify them, and last two lines shows how you delete those objects.
Set line number 54 gives the first row that contain Rajesh or the all the.
No, only the first row that have name equal Rajesh.
If there is any other row that contain Rajesh, then it also.
No, for that you need to do dot all, and then you have to iterate over the result to get all the result. Like it will be a list. If you say dot all, then it will give you the list of rows which have Rajesh. Okay, so list of students. Hmm. Now you can iterate over it. That is one thing you can do. But I consider like there is only one Rajesh in my table, so I can remove that. So this basic operation is clear to everyone. This first part is creating, adding student to the database. This one is modifying them, and the last one is deleting. Creating, modifying, and deletion. Is this part clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir,
One more thing. Yes, you go ahead.
sir, for the line number 57, that student dot name, that name is the field name, correct?
Yeah, name is the field name. Hmm.
Okay, so for the 56, if you are querying by Rajesh, then the Python script like modifies for that particular data itself. Am I right?
Uh, what?
Like suppose if you are having 10 rows, and
Hmm.
if and for and if you are running the line number 56, it
Hmm.
takes Rajesh as one of the particular row, and from the line number 57 it modifies Rajesh to Rajeshwari.
Yes.
But my question is like, how does it identify it is that specific name has to be changed?
That specific name has to be changed. Okay. Now, line number 56 will give you the object, the first object that will match this filter by. Okay. In line number 57, you have the address to that object. You saying student dot name. So you have an object, you just modifying that specific object. So you're not again querying it. Querying part is done in line number 56. You have that object in memory. Okay, with student variable. Uh, like,
Okay.
am I
Yeah,
giving
yeah,
correct
yeah,
answer to
yeah,
your
yeah, yeah,
question, or
understand.
I'm answering something
Yeah.
else?
No, 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 correct, yeah, yeah, understand. Thank you.
Okay. Now, is this part clear? This is important. Understand this. You will have at least two questions in SQL Alchemy. So, and this is a basic operation that they want you to know. Creating objects in database, modifying them, and deleting them. Okay. One more thing, if you want to delete more than one object, then you have to iterate over it and then delete one by one. There isn't anything delete all. Okay. If I show you db.session method, you will not see delete all. There is nothing like delete all. You will have to delete one by one only. Okay. Is it clear? Okay. If this part is clear, then I will move ahead. And what else we have? Yeah, and one more thing. If you are querying from the table name, then it will query from the database, which means the changes that you have committed will be shown. And if you're querying from the session, then it will show the session changes. What I mean by that, so let's say you have these students. You have student S1, S2, S3, S4, S5 in database. Okay. In database, we have these students. I just said S1 dot name and plus equals exclamation mark. S2 dot name plus equals, so name will be string, so I can concatenate the string with an exclamation mark. That's what I'm doing here. S3 dot name plus equals exclamation mark. And I said db dot session dot add, and actually I can use something called add all, and I can provide a iterable here, iterable of objects. So S1, S2, S3 I mentioned here. So I added all of them. Okay. And then I made a change in S3 dot name, and again I added let's say a dollar symbol. Okay. Then I said db dot session dot, or just a second. I make this commit here, db dot session dot commit, and I add this and I say db dot session dot add s. Now at this point, if I query, so these are, let's say, from students table. So there is a class name student, and I said student dot query dot all. Now for what names I will see exclamation mark at the end. Tell me, anyone?
S1 and S2.
S1 and S2. Okay. Actually, I will see the exclamation mark in S1, S2, and S3. Okay. But if I say db dot session dot query dot all, and now this will result into different, like this will result different thing, and here I will get this dollar symbol at the end of S3. Okay. So what I was saying, that if you say db.session.query, then it will account for the session add process. If you use class name query, then it will see the changes from the database itself. Okay. Am I making sense? Are you getting it? Yes. Anyone who's
Yes, sir.
present? Uh, if you don't get it, then tell me. I'll tell you again.
Sir, please repeat.
Hmm? Okay. So what I was saying, that when you use class name dot query, then this queries from database. This queries from database, which means it will reflect commit changes, committed changes only. But if you say db.session.query, this queries from session, which reflects session changes. Now, what are session changes? Whatever you added to that will be displayed with this method. Okay. So there is this add and commit. Commit will store, save your changes into database, but this add just save it in your ORM level, session level. Okay. Now this was all that I want to discuss about SQL alchemy, and I guess this covers everything that they can ask. And for more details, you can go through Sri Krishna sir's document, because he have very major influence in creating the exam paper. So I'll share you that link also, SQL coming notes. Yeah, and yeah, actually this app dev entire resource you can go through. Visit these notes. And I'll share my files also. I will post it on Discord, and when I will create a new topic today. Okay. Okay. Then SQL Alchemy is done with this. Anyone having any doubt regarding SQL Alchemy?
No, sir, not that.
Okay. And there are exceptions, integrity error, operation error. Actually, this portion I have taken from his notes only. And I haven't seen any questions so far from these things, so I didn't mention. But you can check it if you want. Now, so moving to the next part, we have class RESTful. Open preview. Okay. Now, let me erase this all and I'll type again. So, from class, you need to import class to create that application. We take the code from here instead. So, this code I will take, copy and paste. And let me explain what it is doing. So this last part must be clear. This is the application instance creation. After that, you can create an API instance like this, and you can connect the API instance with API.init app and pass the application instance. And again, this whole process can be done in one step also. You can directly pass the app when you're creating the API instance. So this is creation of API instance, which will be used to add resources and fetch resources. What are those? I'll show you. So uh, yeah, this one. Okay. Now for Flask RESTful, you need to define classes that uses something called a resource. Okay. So let's say there is a student class that will inherit from resource. Call it student API. So the name is API. And here you define various methods, HTTP methods. Okay. Before moving to this, first you people tell me what HTTP methods you know. Okay. Yes, I guess this is part of week one. What are HTTP methods? Which one you know? What they do? Anyone would like to answer? Post, get, delete. Okay. Put, yeah. Okay. So these HTTP method, what they do? Can you explain each of them? Rahul, I guess it was you, Rahul. Rahul.
Yeah, yeah. So get is to like we want to retrieve some information from the database basically. Get.
Mm-hmm.
Then delete is if you want to delete something from the database.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, then post is if you want to send some information to the database.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, put, I'm not particularly sure. It is, I believe, if you want to add a single row. I'm not sure on put.
No, no, not like that. Okay, I'll tell you. So get is to get a resource from your URI, like application or web. You can get like for a specific URI, for a specific identifier, you want to fetch a resource. That is your get request. And what is put? Sorry, put is for update. Yeah, put is for update. There is put and fetch. Both are for updates. Now what put do? So let's say there is a student with the first name, last name, roll number. Now what put will do, the conventional use of put is to update all of them at once. So let's say your name is Rahul Suresh and your roll number is incorrect. Your roll number has last digit as 3. It is written 2 here. Now what you will do, you will send all of this data again if you're using a put request. You will send, okay, the roll number is 24, 24F100 2573 to correct it. First name Rahul, last name Suresh. So you will send this entire data with the ID that you have. Okay. So that for that ID, your row will be selected and this entire data will be again overridden. Okay. So the entire data will be overridden input request. Now what patch do on the other hand, for patch you define specific fields which you want to update. Okay. So let's say you just want to update your roll number. You can in the request body you can send only your roll number and that will update that. Okay, so batch is for a specific field where put is for entire row. Okay, and both need your id, your unique identifier will be required. Are you getting it, Rahul? Rohit is giving thumbs up, which means Rohit got it and Rahul also got it. Okay, so as you people mentioned, so there is get, post, delete, put, patch. So they don't use patch here in resource RESTful. But if you going for your Viva, then there they can ask. Okay, and each of these are instance methods. So you need self here, and it will require a ID. So ID, a unique identifier for that resource. Now, somehow you will fetch the ID from the database or somewhere. Let's say I give this dictionary for now. So I call it student data. Student, student data is equal to this dictionary. And here I will define these first. Just give me a second to define some data here. Last name colon roll colon student. Um, now there is other row which let's say correspond to Rahul. So first name colon Rahul, last name colon Suresh, and rows colon student. Okay, let's say I have these two rows in my database. Now what is ID will give like correspond to either one or two. So if I say here student student equal student data dot get, and I will pass the ID and a default value, so none. Okay, so this dot get method on dictionary takes the key and the default value. You hover over it, it will take the key and the default value. Okay, so if something is found, it will give that, otherwise it will give this default value. Now I can return the student. Okay, this is get method, and just let's create this API with this get method for now. API dot add resource is the command where you map this resource class to a URL or a like set of URLs. Student API, and I map it to let's say forward slash API forward slash student. forward slash integer student ID. Okay. Can anyone explain me what is this thing called and what is used for? Anyone
That adds route.
that adds
Route.
route? This is
Which
called
one? Which one you are talking about?
this one. Just this
Oh,
highlighted part.
okay, okay. That is the student ID, the integer ID we want for that particular student. So
Okay.
there after that student route, we are expecting the numerical number
Hmm.
like 1, 2, 3, and anything the student ID.
Hmm. So this angular bracket represent a URL parameter, which means this will be considered as a variable that I can use here. So this will be used here, and let me use the exact same name here because I need that student underscore ID. Okay, and student ID here as well because I have to continue the same variable. Okay, now this student ID will be passed here as a like the second parameter. Okay, now and what this integer is representing, that whatever I should get from the URL, it should be convertible to integer. Let me show you. Let me start this app. Hmm, I hope everything is correct. So let me run this. Yeah, it ran. And let me go to the particular thing, API slash student slash one. And I got the correct response. Okay. So what happened? This API slash student is the static URL part. It matched as it is. After that, it expects a variable part, which means it whatever I pass will be stored in this student ID variable, and this variable should be of type integer type. Like it should be convertible to integer, and one is perfect candidate for that. So I converted into integer type, and after that I matched it. Okay, I passed the student ID here, and I matched it from the dictionary. Whatever data I got, I returned it. Okay, so this is class RESTful basic working. You define a API class inherited from resource class that you import from class RESTful here, and then you define these HTTP methods where you return a dictionary like object, a JSON object. Okay, is it clear? Whatever I did till now? Anyone having any doubt regarding anyone? No? Okay. So actually in this method overloading is possible. What I mean by that, if I just say forward slash API forward slash well yes, student no, sorry, not method overloading is possible. Is the incorrect term. Yeah, if I just define this thing, and here yeah, welcome on this work, and this doesn't require anything, or just uh, let's check this out and expected. See what URL I mapped it to, forward slash welcome. And if I go for forward slash one and what am I okay. Oh, okay. So this is a problem here. I thought it will resolve it. No problem. Hmm. What are you saying? Some YouTube link is if available. I guess this is YouTube link. You can copy this link. Oops, oops. Not sorry. Copy link. Okay. I would have messed up here. Yes. Hmm. Now, yeah. So we can map these routes. Now, if I have a post, so post doesn't require a ID because post will create a new resource. What is this? Just a second. Hmm. So post will create a new resource, and here what I can do. So this will get a request body. Okay. Before me moving to the post, first tell me is it clear or not? Whatever I did till now. Is the get method clear? Everyone? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yes. I guess I will cover the post at last because it will require to check the request body. Let me define the delete first. So delete will not require the request body. So I'll do that. And I need a student ID. So I'll get that student data uh, dot get, and I will get this student with a student ID. If not, then I'll give it none. So I'll store it in the student named variable. And then I can say student data dot pop item. It takes p. Okay. Well, this is different from the database working. Okay. Now here, if I say if student, in that case, if I find something in the student, I will delete student data of student ID, and this is all. And then I can return done. Okay. So let's map this URL. So this will require a student ID, and okay, it's actually already mapped. But there is a problem. So let me tell you one feature of the browser. When you using a web browser, the default things that whatever you try with this URL is a get request. Okay, you can send a post request, but that will require you a form. And if you want some other request, that you cannot send simply with the browser, you need some other curl, like either you can use directly the curl command or some line that runs curl command and provide you a user interface, graphical user interface for that. Okay, so what I will use here is something called thunder client. Okay, so for this I need a new request, and I can define what I want to do here. I can first say localhost 5000, address is API slash student slash 211. And if I do get request here, which I did previously, okay, I guess my app is not running. Yeah, my app is not running. Okay, now if I go again and I make the get request for this URL, then I got the answer. Okay. Other thing defined for me is delete request. If I uh like go for the delete request, then it will delete that row and say done. Okay. So if I go for get request again, it gives me null. Why it gives me null? Because that row is deleted right now. Is the delete request clear? Hello?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay. And I can define one thing here. Um, just a second. I return this done here and I say else return already deleted. Already deleted or not present, both are valid thing, not present. So if I try to delete again, okay, it reloaded entire data. So if I delete it once, it says done, but if I delete it again, so it says not present. Is it fine? Okay. Then there are two more methods that we will discuss. That is post and put, but those will require something called a response body. Sorry, a request body. How do we send request body and how we receive request body? So let's say that. So to send request body inside a Thunder, inside this Thunder client, you will use body and you will send it here. And if you're using curl, let me show you that also. So if you're using curl, just listen this carefully and remember it. In this curl, you need to specify the type of the request with -x command. So you say this post. After this, you define the header. Well, these positions can be interchanged. You define the header, and here in the header, you have to say content type, um, content type colon application slash JSON and then -d to send the data, and this dictionary that you send here will be the request body. This is the request body that you will send. Okay, and this will be structured like a string key colon a value. Okay, so this is how you create a curl request for various type of HTTP methods. So remember this structure. You will say curl -x to specify the type of the request, -s to specify a custom header that is required to send the post request with custom body, and then -d to send the actual body that will be JSON type if you specified that. Okay. Um, is this making sense? Because they will ask you majorly on this curl because like in exam they cannot show you client this Thunder client interface. So their way of asking the question will be curl. So understand what it is. -x to specify the type of the request, -s to specify the header, -d to send the request body. Are you people getting it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So what I open here? Not you. Yes. Here if I show you curl, do I have it here? Curl MD. I have it here. So this is the basic curl structure. You say curl and the address. And yeah, I forgot the address. So after you mention -x and like at any point you can specify what you want. You can just specify the location. So localhost colon and no, it should be at the last. localhost colon 5000 and forward slash API forward slash student and the ID. Okay. So this is how you define a third request. Okay. Now minus L, no, these are not required. This is also not required. Yeah, H. H is to send custom header, and this is majorly used to send like you if you sending a JSON, then this one will be required. Okay, this content type application slash JSON and minus D to send the JSON body, and after that URL. So this is a structure. Okay, is this structure clear to everyone? Like if you have doubt regarding this, then you can ask it, because this Carol, they may ask you, and if you select the wrong pattern, that it will be incorrect. Okay. Now moving back to the I will use this one. Should I use this? As right application content type P should be capital. Application slash JSON. Okay. Now, if I send this data, this post, let me define the post here and I'll show you. So for post, you will send the body and you don't need ID because it won't have any ID at that point. So you will receive the body with something called a request that you have to import from class request. Now, this request have various methods, and one which we are interested in is called JSON. Now this JSON will fetch the JSON body from request. Okay, so I can say it request body as a variable. I can use that request body is equal to request.json. I guess it's a function. Yeah. So hover over it, and it's a property. We call it. If it is not callable, then it will show that. Okay. Now this request.body is a kind of a dictionary. Okay. So you can fetch variables from it using .get method or square bracket notation. So if I say name equal request body and when close parenthesis first name, okay, on f name, l name equal to request body and last name, and one more thing what we need here is role. Okay, role equal request body and role. So these variables these keys I will fetch from that, and I will use this variable to create my student. Okay, so here I know that the keys are only 1 and 2, so I will create 3. Okay, so student data of 3 will be equal to a dictionary containing first name colon f name, last name colon l name, and role colon role. Okay, and after that I can return created successfully successfully, and status code is 201. 201 means resource created successfully. Okay. Any doubt regarding the code that I have wrote here? Anyone? No? Nothing?
No, no, sir.
Okay. Then let me show you how to run it. Okay, so this server must be running. It's not running. Okay, you run that. And okay, so this one doesn't require a ID. So this one, this URL will match it. Okay, this URL will match it perfectly. I don't need a ID. I don't have ID. Forward slash API forward slash student will match this post request. So forward slash student forward slash API forward slash student local host name. Okay, I need to change this data. Um, first name, last name. I have this entry already, but okay, no problem. And role equal to a student, so I have one more entry of my own as a student. So let me send this request. Unmatched use cases. Wow, where hmm, the port number is not a decimal number between zero. It is close to, I guess it is some error. This is the problem with curl that I miss something or other and it breaks. Okay, I forgot the comma. I got that. And I still saying this problem is there. API is correct. Let me check the markdown. So curl post minus h matching single post is used. That shouldn't matter. Oh, okay. Yeah, that should matter. Sorry. So yeah, this entire body should be sent as a string. Hmm. Did not attempt to load JSON because request content type was not application slash JSON. JSON. Let me send it first through the um, just a second. Let me send it from Thunder client and if it works then I will send the post request. Type error. What an unexpected keyword argument. Student ID. API dot post what student ID. Oops. Yeah. Direct object is not callable. Okay. So this is the problem. This is a property here. Okay. Now send it. And yeah, creations. Okay. So the problem was in my code. So if I delete it, if I reload it, then it will again delete that. So if I reload this thing and I run it from here, it should work and it is not working. Content type, something is missing here, something application slash JSON. Okay, it's not a string. These small things always makes curl a bit harder to use. And yeah, creation successful. So things that you should remember that this application slash JSON is not a string here, and this request body is a string. So these two mistakes I made here in this curl request that you shouldn't. Okay, is it fine? So I just showed you the post request which created this request successfully, and I got creation successful with the status code 201 that I did here. Okay. Now there is post request, sorry, put request also. So what to do with that? You will change something. So def put, it will require self and ID. So student ID, and here you will get the request body from the request.json. Now using this request body, you will fetch the whatever variables you have. So here I have first name, last name, and I will copy this entire. Okay. And then I can change the particular entry for this student ID. So I will fetch the student data of this ID, the student ID, and I will get a student object here that itself is dictionary. So I can say student, and I will mention the key. So first name is equal to f name, and student of last name equal to L name, and student of role equal to. And once you do that, you can return that student change successfully, and you can return the status code 201 202. I guess 201 is this. Okay. So this is put request. Is it clear? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. Now you see that for this resource, I have two URLs, and this will be automatically resolved which one to use for which request. Okay. So those requests which are taking student ID as a parameter will use this one, and those requests which are not taking student ID as a parameter, for example, this post request will take this one. Okay, is it fine?
Yes, sir.
Now, this was RESTful. Let me open the RESTful document. RESTful open preview. Yeah. So this is done. This is done. This one done. Marshall and Marshall with are kind of output formatter that you can define. So here, if you define something in it, so like you said, this item fields here, name will be string type, price will be floating type, in stock will be boolean type. Now you can use this field, item fields, to marshal the output. So when you have a data which have, let's say your data have more than these fields, but still when you return the marshal output, it will have only these three fields: name, price, and in stocks. Okay, other things will be ignored, and if something is not present in your data, it will create a default value for that in the output. Okay, marshal and marshal with. Okay, anyone knows the difference between these two? Anyone? No one? Okay. Marshal is a function where you pass the output data as the first parameter, and second parameter you pass the fields that you define. And yeah, this fields, this variable fields is imported. So you see this from class RESTful import fields Marshal and Marshal with. Okay. So this field is um like object that you imported from class RESTful. Okay. Then there is request parser also, which validates your input. So here what I am doing, I am just taking the request body request.json. But if you use request parser, you can do some validations on it. So this request parser provides some validations. Let me just show you what these validations are. So how to create request parser? You say request parser dot request parser object, like a class you called it, it will create the object of. Now you can add argument. First, name of that argument, type, whatever type you want to enforce on a particular argument. So let's say here it was name, first name, last name. I can define that first name and last name should be string type. So how can I do that? I can enforce it here, type equal to string, required equal to true, which means this thing should be present in the body. If it is not, then I can define some error also here. Okay, and help, this help actually is the error message. So if something is not here completed, then this help message will be shown. Okay. Well, why I
Yes, sir.
am just reading it like this, because this is not the important part. What was important is these requests and creating this class, this resourceful class. Okay, if you got whatever I did here, then you are good with APIs. Okay. Yeah, someone was saying something. Please continue.
No, sir.
No? Okay. So, well, I will attach this document. You can read this, and I will have a doubt session on Friday. So, if you find anything doubtful, then you can come there and ask me. Okay. So, this is some options that you find with request parser. You have a type that enforces a type, then required to this will reject if something required is missing. Help is the error message. Default uses a default value for missing. Choices enforce allows, like if you have a set of allowed values, if something is beyond that value, then you can, it will raise again an error. And location is JSON, so where you are reading. So location also takes multiple arguments. Okay, so this was all about Flask RESTful. Apart from it, there is one more thing, that is logging. So let me open the preview of it. Okay, so what logging do? So it's similar to print statement, but you have multiple levels of printing. You define so such, so there are few actions which are critical to your system, but few are like just some random information that is not that much useful. So for such purposes, you have level of logs there. Okay. So the least level is debug. After that, there is info. Then there is warning, error, and critical, and there is a respective numbers also to them. Debug is at 10, info is at 20, warning is at 30, error is at 40, and critical is at 50. What this is level of printing, you can say. So it will have a different format for each of them. You can set it. Why it is useful? So you can find the things which are more important more easily. If you have a regular print statement, it will treat every print statement as equal. But here you can define the level according to the operation that you do. Okay, so if some system failure occurs, then you can log that as a critical message, which means you need to check it right away. Okay, but if there is let's say there is some system lag, then you can inspect that and mark it as a warning. So you may check it if you find time. Okay, and some user accessing the portal is just a information. So you, if you want, you can ignore that as well. Okay. Now, how to set up this logging? First, you need to import logging. So this is Python core library, part of Python core library. You don't need pip install this. Okay, you just directly import it. And after you say logging basic config, here you set the level, logging level, level equal to logging dot info. And yeah, these are names associated with integers. So here you can directly say level equal to 20 because debug is 10 and info is 20. That will also work. Okay, so these are integers. Let me type here that these are integers. Whatever you seeing here, this is equal 10. This is 20, 30, 40, and 50. Okay, so you can use these numbers also directly. And after that, you can log this. Okay, how you log this? These are the commands which you use to log information. Now logging.debug to mark something as a debugging message, logging.info to mark something as an info message, more logging.warning to mark something as a warning message, and error to mark it as an error message, and critical to mark as a critical message. Okay, well, you can set one more thing, that is the format. They don't ask anything about the format. What they ask is this level. So when you set up this level, this defines the least level of the priority you are concerned about. If you have defined logging level as info, which means any log of debug will not be stored. Only the logs above or equal to info will be stored, which means if I have, okay, these messages are here, when you check your log file you will only find info message, warning message, error message, critical message. Debug message won't be there because the least level they have set there was, okay, here it is setting least level is warning, which means only warning message, error message, and critical message will be there. Info or debug message will not be there because it is the least level that you are defining here. Okay, is it clear? Hello, hello. Okay, I guess everyone left. 11 people are still here. Now, okay. So this was logging. You may get a one question out of that. Well, two things are important here. First is the level that you define and how to debug, like how to mark something as a specific type of log, and how to set the level. What will be the output if you set a specific level? So here level is warning, which means warning message, error message, and critical message will be present. Debug message and info message will not be there in the log file. Okay. So this was logging, and what else is there? What else is there? Curl is done. Basic DOM manipulation. Yeah, one more topic. Last one. Okay. So first thing, how to include JavaScript in your program. That was the question when I did this course. So to include a JavaScript in your program in your HTML file, let me open that HTML file. HTML is JavaScript DOM manipulation. Yeah. So here you see I have wrote this thing script src equal to file1. So this is the way to include the JavaScript file into your HTML file. You say script src equal to JavaScript file address and then close it. And the other way is to write the JavaScript is directly in the script tag. You write open close script tag and here you can type JavaScript. Let's say console.log and hello. So this is the print statement of JavaScript. Okay. Two ways of writing JavaScript. Either you can include the file or write directly into script tag. Okay. Any doubt regarding this? See, they literally asked this question in my term that what is the correct way of including JavaScript in HTML file. So you should be knowing it. Okay. What is clear? Okay. Now, the other thing is if I go over here in this basic DOM manipulation, so all of you must be knowing that HTML tag have ID and classes of it. So you can use those ID and classes to get an element. For getting a particular element, you can use ID. And how to do that? So there is this document element that sits on the top. Let me show you a website. So this is this local host itself. If I inspect it, and too broad. Just a second. And console. So you will see if I say document. So this document refers to this entire page. Okay, this entire this writing canvas is document, and here I can get element by ID. So this method will get me any element for a defined ID. Well, I don't have any ID here because this page is not created by me. Yeah. Okay. But if I have, let me open some other page and show you. This JavaScript, like, hmm, and open it. Yeah. So if I inspect this and I show you, so this ID is there, ID one paragraph. This is first paragraph. Here, if I say document, which is the top level document here, the entire page, and then I can say get element by ID, get animation, get element by ID, and yeah, I can say I can pass the ID. So let's say what is the ID here? I just check this. This is ID 2 and ID 1 2. And I say ID 1. So it will give me the first element which matches this ID. I got this paragraph tag. Then I can use this to store this element. So it's the ELLM is equal to, I got this element on minus equal. And I can use this LM to change, to modify it. I can say inner text to change the text of it. If I just run it, I will get the text associated with this paragraph. Or I can change it. If I say equal and I change it to some other text. So let's say this is new paragraph, then this text will be replaced here. Okay. So this is basic DOM manipulation that you can do with JavaScript. Okay. You get the element by ID and then you can change the inner text or inner HTML or bind the function as a event on an event. Okay. How to do that? Let me show you that also. So this is what we have seen. Now for print statement we have console.log and yeah, one more. Console.log will print here. So we have few things. Console.log prints normally. So if I say console.log hello, it will print hello. If I say console.warn hello, so there is another printing method called warn. It will print in this yellow warning format. If I say console.error hello, then it will print it as an error, and there is alert. And if I say alert hello, so it will raise this pop up and show the hello message here. Be careful. Like look what happens here when I enter it. Okay, wrong spelling. Sorry. Alert, and I got this pop up says hello. Okay, so this is important. This is targeted by alert feature. Okay, this alert function of the document targets it. Got it? You people are
Yes.
quite responsive. Well, okay. So these are the four ways of getting the output. Console log, you get a normal print statement, and then warning as a warning, you can say console.warn, console.error to get in the format of error, and alert to get a pop-up. And yeah, one more thing, you can document, you can modify the document itself. So if you say document.write, it will erase the current document and write something else. What will happen when I press this, when I press enter, it will erase this entire thing and this says something else. Okay. I can reload it and it will come back. So that is another thing. JavaScript is temporary here, not stored. I can get the element by class name also. You can say get element by class name and you can define here, pass the class name. It will give you the class name. Tag name also possible. Selectors also possible. Changing content I described here. Changing attribute is also one thing. Okay. So let's say this paragraph. Okay, this is an anchor tag, right? Let me show the element here. So this thing is an anchor tag, and href is not given. Let me change this. So ID is A1. Okay. First, I get this anchor tag, anchor equal to get element document dot get element by ID, and I say A1, and I will get this anchor tag. Now I can say A dot href, and I can define, let's say here Google, uh sorry, anchor dot a. I use the incorrect name, anchor dot ahref, and yeah. Now this refers to google.com. See, if I click it and it shows me error, cannot get the google.com because it is searching google.com on my local host. It attaches this, but yeah, you see this is changed. That was the point of that demonstration. I changed the address dynamically using this dot syntax. As an attribute, I changed the value of the attribute. Okay. Now I can change the style. A dot style equal, let's say I can define a property here, color colon red, and not a. Again, I use the wrong name and for, yeah, and it become red. Okay, so this way I can change the styles also. So is it clear what I have done here? Hello. Okay, I
Yes.
guess. So for removing attribute, you can remove the attribute, and there is one more way. Let me show you that. If you want to remove some attribute, so where is this JavaScript demo? Yeah, open the live server. So this is red, so this must be set through color attribute. How it is set? Okay, it is set through style attribute. What I can do, I can first load this element through ID. How I do that? Or I just do it with class. So document dot get element by class name. It will fetch me the first element that matches that class. So class name, is there any class given to this? Okay, class is not given to it. I'll do it with the document dot get element by tag name. And the first paragraph, I will get the paragraph tag get element. Okay, I got this. All the tags para is a list. I want paras of 0. Okay, this is para 1. Para 1 is equal to this. Okay, now I got this. I can say para 1 dot style, and to delete it I can simply set it to null. Null means nothing, and if I do that, it is removed. So if you see this para right now, um, well, para 1, the style thing is there, but it has no value. So effectively, I removed it. Nearly, I removed it. Okay, and if you want truly remove it, then you have to say para 1 dot remove attribute, and you just mention that attribute. Okay, so you just say style. So this will do that. Okay. Now, if you see para 1 right now, it doesn't have any style. Okay. Is this part clear? Hello? Okay. I guess this. And there is event listeners. So event are some specific action that you take, such as mouse click, input, typing some input, or mouse hover. So you can monitor these various actions and do something accordingly. So here what we are doing, first we are getting the button element that have ID button, and then we say, okay, if someone clicks it, then raise the alert button click. Okay, so here let me reload this page again, and I have this paragraph and this link. Okay, uh, yeah, okay, there is event already registered. If I click it, you see this event found is written here. Let me just fetch this paragraph and show you what it is doing. Document dot get element by ID, and this ID1, and it is not showing here, but this one have a something attached to it. I'll show you here, not here in the file window. Yeah, you see this I got E1 get element by ID1, and after that I am saying this function, I'm writing this function. So function is the keyword to write a function name, and console.log event count. Now what I'm doing here, to E1, which is my paragraph 1, I am adding a event listener that is click. Whenever someone clicks this element, I will run this function. What function? This function name, which is just says event found. Okay. So whenever I click this, it says event found. Okay. So this is the event listener management. Well, so this is all from my side. I am done with all kind of the coding problems that you will have in your exam. So theory is remaining, and it's not that important. You will get, I guess, 2 or 3 questions, 2 marks question from theory. Majorly it will be programming. So if you understood whatever I have done today in your class, then you are good for exam. Okay, that's all from my side. Anyone wants to say anything, like any doubt or any feedback, any suggestion? Nothing? Could you please share the document? Yeah, I will share it. First thing I share this thing, uh, this one. I pin it. So I share it again. This is Sri Krishna sir document, and like I guess they create the exam paper. So if you read their document, then I guess you will get all the questions nearly. And for my markdowns, I will bundle up them together and I will share it on Discourse. I will create a post and post it there. Because these are scattered for now. I need to combine them somehow. Okay. Okay then. Thank you everyone. Who is there?
Well,
Nitin?
thanks a lot, Imanshu. Thanks a lot for taking this session. I hope the things were pretty much clear to all the students. With
I
this,
also hope.
if possible, please share the resources. So I'll attach them in the YouTube videos comment section. Okay.
First thing is this Shri Krishna sir document.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
majorly,
definitely.
I am also taking my code from there, so you can use this. And for my
Sure, sure.
accounts, I need to bundle them
Sure,
all
sure.
scattered.
Okay, okay,
Okay,
perfect. Okay, thank you everyone.
okay.
And
Thank
we
you
closing
everyone.
the
Bye.
recording and streaming now.